to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, join us for a story about Gill Alexander and for a story about the KBI lab at Washburn University, its new technology and partnership with the college. Next, we'll learn about a new television series feature with Western musicians and poets from around the state. And we'll end with a look at the mystery and history of pumpkins. Stay with us. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
All right, take 3.
Hello, I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And this is Around Kansas. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you all this lovely fall morning. And
yes, fall, best time of the year.
fall is upon us and all its color and glory, and it's my favorite time of the year too. You drag out all the fall clothes, orange and the browns and the yellows, you know, the fall yellows, and you get out the sweaters, start unpacking the sweaters and get to layer on the vest, and all the cool clothes are for fall. They really are. It's the best time for clothes.
You know, also, it's the time that in Kansas, finally again, think about this, the wine harvest is in, the wine is made in many instances, and wow, it's just another
What's not
part.
to love? Yeah,
it's another part of Kansas now.
Back home, it would be apple brandy making time.
There you
know,
go.
or
Well, yeah, we got a lot of apples here too.
the corn harvest, you know, the corn whiskey and all that stuff, and the peach brandy, all that stuff starts being made. Yeah, it's a great time of year.
That's harvest time.
Harvest time. And we've got so many people. You know, I work part-time at the Wallace County, in Wallace County at the Fort Wallace Museum. And there's so many people that come through asking about the crops. And of course, this time of year, the Milo's getting ripe and coming in. And it's so pretty. It's like the perfect fall crop. You've got that rust-colored grain at the top of those stalks, and the fields are gorgeous. They're just absolutely beautiful.
Speaking of crops, you brought some gourds.
I brought my crop with me today.
If you've been watching us for a while, I remember we did a story on gourds. Anyway.
I was going to bring some buffalo gourds, and I know you all are disappointed that I did not. Michael, for one, was very disappointed when I came in today and didn't have any buffalo gourds.
So tell us about this.
But I'm using them, so I didn't bring them. Well, the neighbor kids, the Glassmans, raised these. Aren't they pretty? The 3 little Glassman boys, and now they got a brand new Glassman boy, so there's 4, but he's too little to sell gourds yet. And we go over to their house and get the Indian corn back here from the Glassmans. But that little pumpkin pie pumpkin, I raised that, Frank, in my stock tank turned flower garden. You know, it's like my little oasis in the middle of the place, and the gourds, so I raised a few of those. Yeah.
Huh.
Are you impressed or what?
Of course, you didn't bring any pumpkin pie, but...
You know, I might make,
yeah,
maybe.
clutch.
I might make one. It takes a lot of those pumpkins to make a pumpkin pie, you know it. A lot of little pumpkins have to die for a pumpkin pie, Frank. So, yeah, and we're going to give you a feature on pumpkins, which are just some of my favorite things. I love pumpkins. The white pumpkin down here, I don't know if you can see it. Dr. Jake brought me that one. One of the other neighbors raised that. He thought I should have it. That's like the ghost pumpkin or something. We'll have to save it for Halloween, for our Halloween show. We'll keep the ghost pumpkin around. Is he waving at us to stop?
I think so.
We got a lot more coming, folks. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Despite Mike's best efforts to...
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
I'm Rexanne Struve, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints, really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
We're back again. Thanks for staying with us.
Well, we want to pay tribute once again to one of our dear friends, Gill Alexander, who passed away recently. And if you've watched the show before, or if you just live in Kansas, you probably know who Gill Alexander is. Farmer, rancher out at Nicodemus, and his great-grandfather was a businessman in Nicodemus after he was a Buffalo soldier, after he was a slave in Mississippi. Just a phenomenal story that his great-grandfather had. And Gill has just been such a generous friend to so many people, and just a remarkable man, and great connections to Fort Wallace. His great-grandfather was stationed there. While he was a Buffalo soldier, was stationed at Fort Wallace. So, like a lot of people, we have a special place in our heart for Gill Alexander, and we wanted to share this story with you once again. If you missed it the first time, or if you saw it the first time, this was well worth seeing again. The story of the kidney transplant that Gill received from Rob Robinson, who has become a dear friend as well. And we love you, Gill. It all started with a turkey. Rob Robinson is a good old boy from Mississippi, a fireman in Starkville. He had been traveling to Kansas to hunt deer for 20 years when he turned his attention to turkeys. His second year of hunting, he landed the Kansas state record and bagged a 26.5-pound bird. It was actually number 7 in the world. Rob was going for the grand slam of turkey hunting, 4 different types of birds, and headed for Nicodemus, Kansas. There he knocked on the door of Gill Alexander, a 4th-generation farmer and rancher, to ask permission to hunt on his land. Gill recalled the day 3 years later that Rob returned to ask if he could pitch a tent in Gill's yard. Gill did not recall the name, but he sure remembered the southern accent, an accent that often put him on edge. Gill grew up in the 1960s, when images of the South on television were dominated by violence towards blacks. His own great-grandfather had escaped a plantation in Mississippi and joined the 10th Kansas Cavalry at Fort Leavenworth, the legendary Buffalo Soldiers. This southern boy standing on Gill's doorstep was the last person he expected to become such an important part of his life. Gill was on dialysis in the morning, cutting Milo in the afternoons. He had gone to the top of the list for a kidney from a cadaver, but Rob said, "No, I'm giving you a kidney." In November of 2012, Rob came to Kansas City and celebrated Thanksgiving with Gill's family, and Monday they headed to the hospital. The organ match, said doctors, was closer than siblings. The kidney functioned immediately. It was an emotional moment for Gill to visit Rob in Mississippi and find himself in the same county in which his great-grandfather was born a slave, just miles from Rob's home. Rob's white family welcomed him with open arms as a new member of the family. Since then, Rob and Gill have begun a new endeavor, Forever Outdoors, an organization that enables people with challenges to get outside and hunt and fish and do all those things these men have enjoyed. Rob says they welcome veterans, kids, organ donors or recipients, cancer survivors, anyone with challenges to overcome. Rob envisions a 5-star resort in northwestern Kansas someday soon. In the meantime, they have held turkey hunts and muzzle-loading shoots and other events to benefit the cause. Forever Outdoors has a Facebook page, and those wishing to get involved may contact Rob at the number or email on our screen. And to think, it all started with a turkey.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Back again. You know, we've been on the air really several years, and we've done some really good stories along the way, according to our viewers. And so if you're a new viewer, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and grab some of the stories that people have really reacted to and show them to you.
Absolutely. And we do have everything archived, but you know, it takes a while to sit and go through the archive. So we're pulling some of these out that, like Frank said, are some really great stories that folks have that have proven real popular with the audiences, and I think they're going to be popular with you too. And this one about our new KBI facility, it is a fascinating story, and of course it doesn't matter what part of Kansas you're in, this is relevant to you.
Yes, it is. $55 million structure on the campus at Washburn University here in Topeka, the new KBI facility. It's also a teaching facility. So anyway, we did the story some time ago, but we're going to let you take a look at it again.
The Kansas Bureau of Investigation, KBI, opened a $55 million forensic lab on the grounds of Washburn University. The 100,000 square foot building houses the Bureau's state-of-the-art crime lab and replaces the existing facility located in the basement of a former Topeka school building. According to KBI Lab Director Mike Van Straten, there are 70 scientists and technicians working in the facility. The new building has specific areas reserved for each department of the lab, including biology, DNA, toxicology, chemistry, firearm tool marks, latent prints, trace evidence, and digital forensics. There is also an area for processing vehicles. In addition to housing KBI's forensics operation, the new building houses an expanded forensics program for Washburn University. In addition to the existing forensic chemical science degree, which includes an emphasis on forensic chemistry and biology, the university recently added concentrations in digital forensics and forensic anthropology, as well as forensic investigation, to the Washburn course offerings. The students will work in labs similar to those used by the KBI forensic scientists, and they will share common space, including a crime reconstruction space and a 100-seat auditorium. KBI scientists will be guest lecturers and experts in Washburn's classes, and faculty members will be available to provide their expertise to KBI as needed. It is expected that some of those students will transition to KBI forensic scientists and technicians. The new building is the result of a partnership between the university, KBI, and the city of Topeka. The Topeka Public Building Commission financed the project, and rent paid by KBI will eventually retire the bonds. This lab is one of only a handful of working forensic labs on university campuses, and the only one where the lab and the university share space to help educate students, according to a Washburn spokesman.
Welcome to the Jerry Thomas Gallery and Collection, where we showcase my renowned frontier military and Native American artifacts. Behind me you see a touch of fall. We put together not only the beauty of Micah Highwalking, who is the first graduate of West Point of the Northern Cheyenne people and a dear friend, but also a Hudson's Bay blanket that I have here in the gallery. The unique opportunity that I was able to have was we unveiled this painting and surprised Micah at Custer Battlefield, a true honor.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Okay, you start this one.
Never gets top. Write-in, folks. Remember when they had that write-in campaign, or maybe just people, it was just a grassroots thing, the coyote and the roadrunner, and people started feeling sorry for the roadrunner. Just like the Trix rabbit, people started feeling sorry for the Trix rabbit because he never got any tricks, and the whole thing just began to backfire because after a while people began to feel sorry for the, I guess it would be the antagonist in the story. And aren't you starting to feel sorry for me, folks? And Frank never lets me talk, but no.
She never gets to talk.
Yeah. I guess Frank starts to make sure he has time to talk. That's what it is. All right, what were we talking about?
I'm going to get her back on track. Okay. Something about cowboys.
Cowboy Up. We got a brand new show, and this is awesome. I don't even know how many shows we've got now, Frank. I can't even keep up. But we've got this great new show called Cowboy Up, and some of our best friends are involved in this. And I'll never forget when all this started, Jeff Davidson, our great friend Jeff Davidson, he and Ron Wilson, we ought to just build a monument to Ron Wilson, for all the stuff he does. So they emailed me and said, we want to do a cowboy music show. And, I'm a girl that can't say no. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, let's do it. And so Heather and I sat down and had lunch with them one day, and that's been 2 years ago, I don't know, but a while back, and then we just started planning, and I have nothing to do with this, except to be the cheerleader from the word go that said, yeah, this needs to happen, and then they didn't need me after that, but Michael's been filming for, how long have you been filming on this thing, Michael? 2 years, yeah, 2 years. So there's some fantastic groups in this, and just some great personalities and some great music history. You're going to love this show, so we're going to give you a little sneak peek today.
And see, I let her talk.
Smart man.
Howdy, folks. It's time to saddle up for a brand new television series called Cowboy Up, a celebration of the American cowboy. Our show will feature the very finest in Western musicians and cowboy poets for your enjoyment. We'll explore Western music, meet these performers up close and personal, and enjoy their performance of music and rhyme. This is cowboy poet laureate Ron Wilson inviting you to join me as we cowboy up. Happy trails.
Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. Back again. You know, my brain is very strange, as you know, and that is because we're going to talk about pumpkins. Who was the first person that looked at this orange thing, broke it open and said, "What can you do with this?" And somebody said, "Make a pie"?
I don't know. I know that pumpkins, if I'm not mistaken, pumpkins, gourd, squash, those are indigenous to America. Mm-hmm. And I guess you'll just make, sweets out of anything. It is funny, and I think this next segment about pumpkins may even talk about this. I can't remember. But our friend Ian Hall, who is a distinguished author and just distinguished Scotsman, he's our token Scotsman, and they didn't have pumpkins to celebrate Halloween in Europe, and so what did they use? Turnips. But apparently they had really big turnips, and I don't know, have you ever tried to carve a turnip? Like carving a pumpkin's not bad enough. Carve a turnip, you got to have a drill and a chisel, and I'm not kidding. I'm like, that's the saddest thing I ever heard. They had candles and turnips.
Turnips.
Man, so thank God for pumpkins. That save those poor Europeans from having to put turnips in their windows and on their porches. And yeah, isn't that crazy?
I might have to try that this year.
And apparently they had big turnips. I've never seen a turnip big enough to put much of a candle in. I know, you're certainly not going to get much of a jack-o'-lantern with a turnip, are you?
Sure this is a pumpkin?
Maybe that's just a big turnip. That's why it said. All right, let's take a look at pumpkins. No fruit or vegetable captures the imagination like the pumpkin. Cinderella used it as a coach. Peter Pumpkin Eater kept his wife inside its shell. Charlie Brown fell asleep awaiting the arrival of the Great One. It scares us, it entertains us, it feeds us. My favorite scene from all the Harry Potter movies is Hagrid's pumpkin patch. Aren't those pumpkins wonderful? Don't they conjure images of coaches and dwelling places for little beings? There is a wonderful mystery to a pumpkin. Now comes the season for pumpkin pie, pumpkin soup, pumpkin bread, pumpkin ale, pumpkin truffle. Oh my! My friend Bryce Benedict used to grow hops to make his own pumpkin ale, which he generously shared a couple of years ago. It made the best cheddar ale soup I have ever tasted. The pumpkin flavor was just the extra touch to make it interesting. The website, All About Pumpkins, lists dozens of varieties and gives us a little history. Pumpkins and squash are believed to have originated in the ancient Americas. These early pumpkins were not the traditional round, orange, upright jack-o'-lantern fruit we think of today when you hear the word pumpkin. They were a crooked-necked variety which stored well. Archaeologists have determined that variations of squash and pumpkins were cultivated along river and creek banks along with sunflowers and beans. This took place long before the emergence of maize, corn. After maize was introduced, ancient farmers learned to grow squash with maize and beans using the Three Sisters tradition. According to Pumpkin Patches and More, the tradition of carving a jack-o'-lantern from the pumpkin began in Scotland and Ireland. Well, of course, except they used turnips, since pumpkins were native to the New World. Can you imagine homes decked out in turnips or being scared to your stocking feet by a candle inside a turnip? Well, my friend Ian Hall, token Scotsman, verifies the tale and adds that the turnips were pretty hard to carve. And now, dear viewers, I'm off to the pumpkin patch.
Well, we have to go. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
This is where it was. Hollyhocks and red
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part